Jayne is an artist based on the Norfolk coast. The coast is deeply ingrained in her work, and she has returned to the subject repeatedly over many years in a quest to understand its geology, its ecosystems, and its morphology. And she is going to share with us, her presentation is going to be around the film Because I Am Part of This. So the floor is yours.
So I'm going to start with a series of drawings I did many years ago in 2000.
Okay, could you sit down and then you'll be seen?
Okay. Right. Yes, these drawings were done long before I thought about climate change, and I'd been living in Norwich, and I'd just come out of a very long relationship and was feeling pretty sore with myself. And at the time, there were some terrible storms going on the coast, which was 25 miles away, I suppose. And I would go every day to have a look at the damage that was being done. And I gradually realized that every time I visited, the situation was far worse. So I was very moved by it all, and got to know one of the local residents who lived in a road called Beach Road, which ran behind those telegraph poles. And her house was on the very end of the road, and it was very close to the edge. But for some reason, I kept going there because I felt I wanted to witness this change that was happening. I wasn't quite sure why or what I could do about it, but I'd been trained as a painter. I had lots of skills, and I knew that if I drew it, I could use it later on, maybe. And so I worked there for about 3 months, and I worked the actual sketchbook drawings up into these charcoals and then just put them away. And then I went to live in New Zealand for 7 years, and I'd made this friendship with Bryony, the woman at the end of the road. And so every time I came home from New Zealand, where I'd been working on a restoration project, a wetland restoration project, I came back every summer, and I always went to visit Bryony, and I made film and drawings every time I came back. So I had, over a period of about 13 years, I was building up this huge amount of work, which I was doing in England, and then I was doing other work in New Zealand. But eventually, I brought these drawings together. Can I change this now? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. No, that's not right, is it? What's going on here?
Oh,
okay. Yeah. Okay. I tried to get into the drawings this strange feeling of loss that everybody in the village was having. You know, there were some people on the far end of the cliff there who had just lost a garage that went over the edge. And the council were coming constantly and saying, you know, you've got to remove your caravans, you've got to take down the telegraph poles. The rate of erosion was astonishing. And you saw these endless things happening in the cliffs, like these big water pipes falling out and septic tanks that hung there like open heart surgery. Eventually, I kept looking at these things, and then I eventually came back from New Zealand and decided I must pull all the film together and the drawings and make some sort of statement about loss, because it had carried my own feelings of loss. All the work that I did there seemed to reflect something that I was feeling in my own life, and I identified very strongly with the way the people in the village were adapting to their own loss. And many of them actually left. They took the council money and left their houses. But Bryony absolutely refused to move, and I found her attitude and tenacity so encouraging, and she made me see that there was a sense of regeneration, that despite all the tragedy that was going on, things were happening, which I hope I show in the film. Things were happening to make her realize that it was worth hanging on. And in fact, she's still there, and she always finds a way of adapting to the latest fall in the cliffs, and the latest government policy about whether to interfere with these falls or not. So, on the whole, my interpretation of the cliff falls is so different to Jeanette's this morning, and I feel that she was making works that were quite complicated and obscure. Mine is very simple. I just wanted to express a very strong sense of loss that other people could identify with. And the film itself has been quite successful because it helps people to understand that you don't need to fear the falls, that you just need to adapt. And I hope you'll find that that's what comes over in the film. So we could possibly put the film on now.
Yeah.
Are there a couple more of these drawings or not?
I realised I only changed the first one to be a minute, not. I think that's the last.
Yeah, go on. One more.
That's
it. So that's it. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Thank you.
You'd be glad to know that Brian is now living in a house.
Yes, please tell us about Brian.
Well, this is why
yes.
I feel so strongly that
Yes.
it's important to be optimistic about
Optimistic
life.
about life.
You'll always find somewhere to live. Well, she's living on the other side of the road was a row of Coast Guard cottages, which are gradually emptying out now. But she bought number 1 Coast Guard cottages for £5,000 and is living there, she hopes, for another few years. But it's going so, the erosion is so rapid that it probably will be 2 years, I think, before the sea gets to her house again. But she's such a lesson to us all to be to adapt.
Adapt.
It's wonderful. What you said about being part of the place. It's so yes.
So important. Yes, thank you so much. That was a wonderful, wonderful film. Thank you. And also to reflect on the power of narration, the narrative, the storytelling, the power of the first person and the experiential, the one who experiences, is at the forefront in the first line. The authority of that voice. Yes, wonderful. Thank you very much. And this idea of impermanence and this idea of adaptation and this is catching me if you can, and this as Brian moves and then the coast moves and we can take climate change following Brian.